Hello and welcome. I wanted to make this video because I didn't find a lot of resources on it myself. It's a bit of a niche scenario, and I'm not crazy into the world of rack mounting. I don't really have a bunch of rack gear, so it's really a specific use case. So I'll paint a scenario for you. You've just acquired or already own either a rack or something that has some rack mounts on it, and you've got some gear that could potentially fit in that rack. It's the right height. But woe is you when you find out one of two things, or both of these, that A, it's not intended to be rack mounted, i.e. there's no screw mounts on the side or on the bottom. And it's not a specific, it's not a full rack mount length. Well, fear not, for there are still workarounds that you can do depending on the size and kind of your scenario. So I have an Antelope Audio Discrete 4 Synergy core with that exact scenario. It's not built for rack mounting. Please disregard the screeching of my toddler there in the background. She's very tired. It's not built for rack mounting, but it's about half of a single rack unit. I got this desk recently from Studio Desk. Really cool piece of equipment. I'm really glad I invested on it, but it has this rack panel here in the front. I don't have any other rack gear really beyond this, so I wanted to make it flush because it's in a good position for me to just have access to the knobs and the preamp settings and such here in front of me. But like I said, it's not really built for rack mounting, so I prefer not to void the warranty, so I'm not going to drill holes into the side. Don't want to do that in the case or the bottom. So what do I do? Well, the easiest way to rack mount something like this and get it flush is first and foremost to do, you can get these 1-unit rack shelves. This is what I have here. I'll post links for all the stuff that I use here in the description of this video. Normally these rack unit shelves are inverted. You would flip this upside down, but due to the lip here that I have on this, the ears would get in the way. More on that later. And what I've done here, I've seen some people before, they'll either zip tie to the back of the interface on one of the inputs or the outputs, like that they don't use, like the RCA or something like that, and they'll zip tie it to the bottom of the shelf. Or they'll use the clip that clips into the Kensington lock and then zip tied at the bottom of that. I didn't particularly feel like doing that, and I have enough space at the back of the Discrete 4, so that what I did was essentially do 2 angle brackets, just L brackets that sit at the back that this thing rests against, and then those are screwed into the bottom. So essentially, this thing is at an angle, and you have 2 brackets at the back like this that it's resting up against. So now it's fine. Well, what do I do? Because otherwise I would have these huge gaps here on the side. Well, fear not, because they make rack ears for half mount devices, sometimes servers, pieces of networking equipment. These were built for a TP-Link. The best way to find them is to measure the distance from edge to edge. Normally you would only measure from the inside of the metal to the inside of the metal, but in the case of the ears, since they're mounted on the side, you want to measure the total distance. Find something that's as close as what you can to what you're getting. The dimensions that I found for these listed them as 4.5 inches, which was actually bigger than what I needed, but when I got them, they were about 1/8 of an inch short. Well, what do I do then? No problem. The gap, as you can see on both of these sides, is small enough that it doesn't really make sense for me to build my own ears. So all I did is, if you look in here in the middle, I've just gotten some cheapo bulk Amazon furniture pads. And they're black, so they match with the ears. And honestly, if I stand from a distance, you really can't tell they're there. So now I've got my device rack mounted. Oh, yes, other thing you can do. If you can't find anything that's close to your dimensions, you can get blank rack panels like these. Not exactly these. I'll link to better ones in the description. I actually got the wrong ones, and more on that later. This is just standard aluminum. Extruded aluminum. You can also get just straight aluminum plates from like Home Depot, and it cuts fairly easily if you have a saw or something similar, and you can just bend it and then cut it to the dimensions you need. But again, because I was close enough on this, I didn't bother. Not really worth it. And then all you have to do at that point is cover up the extra holes. Like I mentioned, I got the wrong ones. These have an extra lip on the back, which means for my inverted shelf, or really any shelf, not going to work. But they would work. This is hard to do with one hand. Up there. So I've got some new ones coming from Gator. Just standard steel plates. I'll link to those as well. That are going to basically have it so that everything looks flush and clean and all good. So that's basically it. This thing isn't going anywhere. It's completely, set in there. That's it. This is how to half rack, or to mount a half rack or non-mountable racking device in a standard 19-inch rack. So thanks.